What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler. Now, I've been throwing this phrase around quite frequently, but I fucking mean it this time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I've ever been this excited to tell a story. This was not something I was planning on doing. This was not like pre-planned or anything. I recently traveled for court. And while I was up there, I ended up taking some acid. And I haven't done that shit in 4 fucking years, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to talk about it. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys are as excited to hear about this as I am. Drop a like if you guys do enjoy, as well as don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. So, my first trip in 4 years. Now listen. For those of you guys who might not be caught up, the last time I tripped was prior to me going into rehab, all the way back in 2016. Ever since that day, I haven't done any shrooms or acid, right? Acid was always my main thing, but I haven't done either of those since then, right? I've still done some Molly here and there, but I wasn't really planning on doing acid anytime soon. And how this all played out is originally I got to my hotel, right? I road tripped up north to my hotel for my court date. It was about a 3-hour drive. And I got there and I hit up my Coke plug. And I said, my man, it's been a long time. What do you got in store for me today? And he lays out the menu. And he's got some weed. He's got some blow. Of course, I'm buying some of that. But he's also got some acid. And I'm sitting there. And I don't know what drove me to do it. I figured maybe some of my friends would want it and I could like give it to them and it would be fun. But I don't know what drove me to do it. There was just this gut feeling where I was like, oh, I should buy some. So I bought a 5-strip, right? I bought 5 of them. I was like, let me get 5 tabs and an 8-ball, right? He was like, absolutely no problem. I'll be there in 20, right? So I start unpacking my stuff in my hotel room. You know, I got my cat running around. She's chilling, getting used to the hotel room. And the plug pulls up. So I go outside, I dap him up, I ask how he's been, we chat a little bit, because, I used to buy from this guy every day. Like, we chatted up every time I shop, right? It's not just like a hop in the car, dap him up, and leave. No, we'll catch up with each other a little bit, because I rarely get to see him anymore. So we're chatting it up a little bit, and he's like, yeah, dude, I've been hearing fucking great things about these tabs. Let me know how you like them. And at this point, I still didn't really think I was going to be taking any, so I was just like, oh, okay, for sure, I'll let you know. I figured I was just going to be saving it for friends. So I go back into my hotel, and I put this acid in my nightstand, and I hit up Kyle. And I'm like, Kyle, I just got in town. Let's get fucked up, dude. He's like, bet. And I ask him, I'm like, do you want to trip? And he's like, nah, dude, I'm probably not trying to trip. And I was like, what about like a micro dose, Because originally the first thing that came to mind, and I was like, you know what? I've never microdosed before. I've heard good things about it. Let's try it. But me being a dumbass, I don't do any fucking research with this shit. Rule number 1, do your research. I don't do any research with this shit. So my idea was a microdose was just take a pair of scissors and cut the tab into quarters and then pop a quarter. And that's my microdose. I didn't do any sort of research and realize that you're supposed to take like a 1/10 of the fucking tab. I was like, dude, whatever. That's a microdose to me. A quarter tab? Yeah, dude, we're fine. So I tell Kyle, I suggest this to him. I go pick him up, and as we're smoking, I'm like, hey, we could microdose, we could give this a try today. And he's like, you know what? That sounds pretty fun, because Kyle, he hasn't really been doing much hard stuff lately either. And I'm not calling acid hard, but he hasn't done anything but smoke weed as of lately. He hasn't even gotten drunk in recent memory, right? The guy's just been getting stoned. So I'm like, dude, I'm back in town. Let's get fucked up, right? So he's like, bet. So we go back to my hotel. We drive back to my hotel. And we're chilling in the hotel room, and we're smoking some bowls, and it's a non-smoking room, but I booked a room at this Marriott hotel, right? And it was a courtyard Marriott, where basically what that meant was every room had either a balcony or a patio, depending if you were on the second or first floor, right? Every room had outside access from the room, which was nice, but for some reason, you're still not allowed to smoke on that. Even if you're an outside-facing room that faces the parking lot, you're still not allowed to smoke. They had no smoking rooms. But me being me, I'm like, bro, there's a balcony. We're smoking this bitch out, right? So we pop this glass door open and we just start sparking, right? We're smoking some bowls, passing them around. I didn't spark up any blunts because this is a Marriott. It's not the fucking Red Roof. You know what I'm saying? It's the Marriott. So obviously I wasn't going to box the room like I did the Red Roof. And fun fact, we'll talk about this in a different video. We're probably going to talk about this on stream tonight. My first night of this trip, I actually spent in a Red Roof. I just migrated to this Marriott because the Red Roof was way worse than usual. It was like really like, I'm talking like there was prostitutes in every other room, dude. It was really fucked. But we'll talk about that at a different time. Now is not the time. So either way, I'm in this Marriott with Kyle and we're smoking up. And an individual who some of you guys might remember hits up Kyle. It's Peter from the Coke Chronicles, the guy who had that crazy mental breakdown and broke the N64. You guys probably remember him. I hadn't heard from him since Coke Chronicles. And he hits up Kyle out of the blue asking if he wants to hang out. And Kyle tells me about this and I'm like, dude, like, what is he on? Like, does he still like smoke or like, what does he do? So Kyle's like, let me ask him. Turns out, this kid's got a bunch of fucking drugs. Turns out he already has acid, dude. This kid's ready to fucking rumble. This guy's already been on he's back at the drug rampage, dude. Nothing ever stopped, I guess. But I hadn't spoken to him in like a year, so I never knew that. This was all news to me. So, of course, I hear this, and I'm like, oh, bet, dude. Bring this guy through. I want to talk to him. If he's already fucked up and I don't have to feel guilty about him being on drugs, then let's go crazy, you know? Because here's the thing. Obviously, I didn't want to be the one supplying them after seeing what happened last time. But if the kid already has the shit, then it's not like I'm making any difference in anything. So send him over. Invite him over. So, of course, Kyle tells him, yeah, get your ass over here, dude. Fucking link up. So after that, we pop these quarter tabs as we wait for Peter to slide, right? We pop these quarter tabs. And I don't really know what to expect, right? At this point, I'm still, like, we both still think we're getting a microdose out of this. We did no research about microdosing. I didn't know what the proper dosage was. I do now, but at the time, I didn't even bother. Like, I don't really know why. I just didn't bother to look anything up. I was like, oh, quarter tab is probably a microdose. Whatever, dude. Let's fucking go. Classic Goblin style, right? So, about 45 minutes or an hour go by, and Peter's jagging. Peter's taking his lovely fucking time. But I definitely start feeling this shit. Like, I'm not seeing anything different, besides maybe colors are like a little brighter, I'd say, but nothing was moving really at all or looked too weird. But physically, I felt that I was beginning to feel like I was almost like in a very light trip, right? I felt that almost like just looseness in my veins. Like the best way to I haven't felt this feeling in so fucking long. And I can't lie, my favorite part of the whole trip was realizing that I just accidentally started tripping. Like, I realized as I started feeling this in my arms, I just look over to Kyle and he's just got this smirk on his face. And I just know I'm grinning ear to ear, dude. And I'm just like, Kyle, I think I feel it, dude. And he's just... He's just like, yeah, me too, man. And Kyle hasn't tripped in forever. Neither of us were ready for this, but I was grinning ear. I felt so great. I hadn't felt that come up like, here it comes kind of feeling in so long. But at this point, I loved the feeling so much that I knew there was no going back. I just had to trip. So at this point, I was like, you know what? Let's start off with a light trip and redose if I continue to enjoy it. So since I already cut that tab into pieces, I took 2 more quarters of the tab and popped them on my tongue. And I took another quarter and gave it to Kyle because that's all he wanted. So at this point, I had 3/4 of a tab down the hatch. And now Peter pulls up. Pardon that voice crack. My throat's really sore, dude. I think the COVID got me. No joke. I think I have COVID. I could have been a spreader of it, or I could have, I don't know. Who knows, dude? Either way, COVID is involved with me at this point. But back on topic. So Peter pulls up. After we popped these couple quarter tabs, right? I popped these couple. And I was so excited for what was to come, right? It wasn't like I was tripping any harder. All I really felt off that quarter tab was just that little come up feeling until the rest that I took hit. And then in total, I ended up dosing 3 tabs throughout this trip. But we'll get to that. So Peter pulls up, and I run out to the parking lot to greet this motherfucker because I haven't seen Peter in ages. And this kid's already tripping. Like, this kid was literally already tripping balls. And I was like, dude, how the fuck did you get here, right? Like, and he's like, oh, dude, I wasn't that far away. And I was like, oh, I mean, whatever, dude. I can't stop you, bro. I mean, just come inside, I guess. So I dap him up, we catch up a little bit. I bring him into the hotel room. Now we're all chilling out, and I hadn't even touched my blow yet, right? And I didn't touch it for a while into the trip. I didn't touch it until I started watching Scarface while I was tripping balls. But that was like a tab and a half deep. That was like 2 tabs deep. That's way further into this, right? So Peter pulls up, and we're all chilling in the room, and we're smacking this bowl and passing it around, right? We're having a jolly old time, and no one's coming up and knocking about the smell. We've got the door open, so we figure we're good to go. Like, yeah, we can just chief in this room all night. So as the night progresses, Peter, myself, and Kyle, we just kind of play some cards, and this acid starts hitting me harder, right? I like these other half tab that I took smacks me. And I remember I'm sitting on the couch in this room playing cards, and I just look up at the ceiling, and it's no longer how it was before. Originally, it was one of those like rough textured ceilings where it almost looked like they painted it on and then it started dripping, but it didn't drip all the way, Like it was one of those bumpy, rough textured ceilings. When I looked up, it looked like it was like I was looking at someone's like muscles, like there was like veins and cells moving around, and it looked almost like the ceiling was alive, but only the ceiling because of that texture. The walls weren't like that at all because they had wallpaper, but the ceiling, like it almost looked like it was alive and it was pulsing and stuff, and I almost felt like the little dots looked like little moving cells going through like the veins, and it was crazy as fuck. But I looked up, and I was just amazed, and I was just like, wow, dude, I haven't felt or seen anything like this in so long. And I was having so much fun. I never realized it, but here's the thing. I've always said that you should take acid for fun. I've always been an advocate for taking acid to get lit and not taking it as like a spiritual thing, but just taking it if you want to have a blast. And this trip caught me so off guard that I had an amazing time. I had a blast. When I was coming up in the whole initial part of the trip, I was tripping for damn near 24. I was tripping for like 18 hours because I kept redosing throughout this trip, right? So this is definitely going to be a multi-part thing, but nevertheless, I just felt amazing. And I remember as soon as I started tripping, I hopped on my Xbox. I hooked it up to the TV, and we started playing Borderlands 3. And this game, listen, it kind of sucks if I'm being honest. All the other Borderlands are way better. But when you're tripping, the colors are sick. Like, you can tell they made this game with at least one guy on the design team who takes a lot of acid because the game looked fucking sick when I was tripping balls, right? And we're playing this game for a little bit, and Peter, out of the blue, pulls out his phone, and he goes like, oh, fuck, I forgot I had this date. And Kyle and I look over at him, and we're like, excuse me? Like, pardon me? He's like, I forgot I had this fucking date. And I'm like, well, okay, that's whatever. I have a haircut anyways, right? And I had made this, I forgot to mention this before, but I had a haircut schedule. My barber's a cool guy. I've smoked pot with him. He doesn't care if I'm tripping. So it's not like the haircut is a significant part of the story. I've showed up way more fucked up than this to my barber, right? He doesn't fucking care. But I had a haircut schedule. So I was like, if you have a date, I have my haircut pretty soon. What time's your date? And it just so happens his date is at like the same time as my haircut. So I'm like, okay, bro, well, this isn't gonna work. Like, we need to figure out how I'm getting to my haircut and you're getting to your date, and we make it there on time, right? We make it there all fine and dandy, A-okay. And he's like, hey, I think Kyle could drive my car. And he looks over to Kyle, and Kyle's tripping balls, dude. Kyle's having none of this shit, dude. He's like, excuse me? And Peter's like, yeah, dude, you could just fucking drive me to Buffalo Wild Wings, dude. I'm meeting this super Christian chick, dude. And I thought he was like joking around at first, but then he like actually FaceTimes this girl. Oh my God, super Christian woman. I ended up meeting her later in the night. For some reason, he brought her to the hotel. I offered her cocaine and she got scared and left. But that's for later. But nevertheless, he's actually going on a date with a super Christian girl. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to get to my barber, no problem. But like, I can't drive you to your date is the thing. I can't get you a ride to your date and still get to my appointment on time. So you got to figure something out. So he's like, he looks over to Kyle and he's like, Kyle, are you good to drive? Once again, he asked that. And Kyle's like, you know what? I could probably get you to Buffalo Wild Wings. And listen, don't ever drive while you're tripping. But Kyle pulled it off. Kyle did it, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm tripping balls. So I didn't really compute exactly that they were committing to this. Like, I still didn't think he was actually going to show up to this date. I figured like, oh, they're just going to go to the parking lot and they're going to be tripping so hard he's just going to call off, right? So they leave. And once they get up to go to this date, right, they leave maybe like 15 minutes before I have to dip out, right? And I have someone driving me as well. I neglected to mention this earlier in the video, but there is a Miss Goblin, right? There is a female I'm talking to. I don't talk about these things very much on the internet. I like to keep it low-key, but she was in attendance and being the designated driver for myself, right, because I dosed. So she's in attendance at this hotel, and she is my ride to this haircut, right? She wanted to do some blow, but I was like, you know what? We're going to save that until after my haircut. So she's like, bet, I'll drive you to the fucking haircut then. Because originally, I was debating on Ubering. Like, I was tripping so hard, I forgot that I had a designated driver. But then I realized, like, oh, there's actually one sober person in the room. So this works. But I still didn't have time to take, A, Peter to his fucking date, and B, Kevin or wherever the fuck, right? Or Kyle, pardon me. I still use his fake name sometimes, as if you guys haven't met him by now. But either way, they disperse, right? And Kyle starts driving Peter's car. And I was not at all expecting them to actually commit to this. But Kyle calls me like 10 minutes later, and he's like, yeah, dude, I just dropped Peter off at Buffalo Wild Wings. And I was like, wait, like he actually had a date? Like he didn't just cancel on her? And he was like, yeah, dude, he's at Buffalo Wild Wings right now. And I'm just... I'm like, this kid's off like 2 fucking tabs, and he's at a beat up date with like a Christian chick, dude. And guys, I'm not just saying like Christian as in like, like I'm not saying it just to say it because that's a religion. I'm saying it because she is like the Bible thumper. Like I said cocaine and she squealed, dude. Like it was terrifying, but we'll get to that later, right? So I'm like, okay, well, where are you right now? And it turns out Kyle just went the fuck home with Peter's car. And Peter told him, just take my car home. This chick can give me a ride, right? So I was like, I mean, okay, that kind of makes sense because Kyle lived literally 2 blocks over from Peter. So Peter could just get a ride home and walk back to his car the next day, you know? So no problem. That actually kind of made sense. I'm glad Kyle made it home, right? But Kyle started having a bad time, right? And at this point, we're still on the phone, and I throw a shirt back on, right? And I get out of there, I change the shirts because I was kind of sweating a little bit, dude. The trip caught me off guard. I was sweating a little bit. So I switch shirts, hop in the car, and get my ride to my haircut. And I'm talking to Kyle on the way there, and I'm like, dude, you got to chill out because he sends me this whole essay. Like, he gets in his feels. He's like, man, I don't really think this drug stuff is for me, man. I just didn't really mean to trip today. And I'm like, whoa, Kyle, I know you. I love you, buddy, and I respect that opinion, and if you want to quit, I'm here to support you, but I know you're just saying that because you're tripping balls unexpectedly. And lo and behold, the next day, we got high as fuck, because that's exactly what happened. I know the guy. But, nevertheless, he's all in his feels, and I'm trying to calm him down. And eventually, I get to my barber. It's like a 20-minute drive, so I'm like, hey, I gotta go. I'm at my barber. I'm gonna go get my hair cut, right? So myself and Miss Goblin, right, we hop out the car and go into my barber. And my barber, mind you, this guy's hilarious. Like I said earlier, he doesn't care what I show up on. I've shown up on all types of drugs. I've watched him do blow. He is a prodigy, right? He's an absolute legend. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we have to save this part for the next episode of this. Hope you guys enjoy. Drop a like if you did. I really hope you guys are excited, pardon me. I'm fucked up right now, dude. I'm high as shit. I've been smoking the good sour apple killer by Jungle Boys, and it's a fire strain, and I'm baked. Listen, my apologies for stuttering on my words there. Smash that like button. Hope you guys are excited for the next part in this. I'll see you guys on stream tonight. Peace out, gamers.